Hi, Gail and Mary. Here we are. I got to get my other computer going. As y'all know, I've got two going. It looks like we got two people here. And
Okay, that's a little better. You want to back up a little bit?
yeah, we're adjusting. We're down at the Rustic Raven in Florence, South Carolina, and this is Mary's store. We can't see her right now.
I'll be right back.
She's behind you.
I'm adjusting.
And anyway, we're here. Mary is an energy worker, and she knows a lot about shamanism. So y'all can ask her questions. And anyway, I'm not sure. I thought I saw two people that were already here. I can't see, but I saw
There's one
some comments. But anyway, I'm so glad that y'all are joining us today. Tell a little bit about myself. I am Dr. Gail. I am a starseed healer. This is for entertainment purposes only, and I'm glad all of you are joining me. And this is Mary, and we're here at the Rustic Raven in Florence, South Carolina, and this is her store. And she does a lot of practicing with energy work and has a lot of work in shamanism. Did I say that right? I couldn't spell shamanism. I was going to have it on here saying shamanism, but I couldn't figure out how to spell it. So.
I mean, technically it is. It is a lot of repeating letters, I think. SHAMANISM. But we've got...
So we're here to answer questions. This is a question and answer for y'all not to have to make appointments with either one of us. And there's some questions. Can you see them? I can't see them. Mary's got better eyes than I do.
Starfish says hello, and Chris says that she's looking forward to this. Chris has been looking forward to this for a while. So.
Hey, Chris. Hey. Yeah, I did. I've got a lot coming up right now with Medium Kim. I did one with her. That's another question up there. We're going to have to kind of paint into the questions, and it's so far away that I'm not going to be able to read it. And I'm going to have Mary get it. Are you just saying?
They're just saying good morning, and they're excited.
But
hey everyone.
Yeah, I've got a lot coming up. I've got Medium Kim coming up again on February 8th. I'm going to be on Allie's channel, Heart and Soul Connected, Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And of course, here we are live here for questions and answers. And Allie's channel will be question and answers also. Medium Kim's, it'll be taped, and she will have the questions for me. And she had great questions last time. This will be part 2. So anyway, we're ready for questions. Anything about aliens or shamanism. This we're here in her store. Wish we had the ability to take a tour so you could see things, but
we probably could.
You could.
I mean, you just gotta hold it. We can do it. We can do it.
But does anybody have any questions? Welcome. And I'll tell you a little bit about my past. I am an operating room nurse, and I used to specialize in open heart surgery and neurosurgery. And then I went back to school for chiropractic. I opened up my practice, and my dad eventually got sick with dementia. After my mother passed away, I had to retire from both and then go take care of him. After he passed away, all of a sudden, 8 months later, I had my big awakening when an angel came and presented me with a bracelet. I don't know if that's another question up there.
Someone did ask how far back we've channeled past lives.
How far back?
There's gorgeous orbs over people's shoulders. It's hard to say because time is not actually linear. Time moves all around, and but we have tracked, working on clients and working on myself, I have tracked past lives back to Atlantis, back to wars within the galaxies and different places like that. So it's really hard to say. It's like when we're talking about BC and AD and those sorts of things, because time is not linear, but we can track back when we do past life regressions. We can go back as far back as the client's energy needs. And that's kind of what I do when I do energy work. When I sit with other people, I'm not really attached to the term shamanism. That's actually a term that's coined from Siberia. And really what it does is it just lets people know, good morning, it just lets people know what it is that I do. when you hear shamanism, you know that we're talking probably working between the realms. We're talking soul retrievals, things like that. So that's a good term to use for people to know what it is that I do. But any other term would do as well. Energy worker, healer, psychic, whatever you want to say. I don't necessarily use the term psychic because then people like to walk up and be like, what am I thinking? And I really don't have time for that. I don't care to do that sort of thing. So, but really I just work within people's energy and what they need at the particular time.
Okay. If you didn't get it, we can scroll it back. They taught me this
Yeah,
night.
they were talking about a being that they saw last night, so you might want to scroll that one back if you want to look at that.
I'm going to have to stand up to scroll it back because I can't read it. So y'all, oh. So, oh no.
Click that button. There you go.
I didn't see my body in my hair.
Hello. Okay.
Had two pop up in the middle of the night next to a bed, tall, thin, black figure, and short blue with black eyes. Oh, don't go away. Oh my gosh.
This is the chat thing here.
Read it to me, Mary.
Okay, so Chris says they had two pop up in the middle of the night next to the bed, tall, thin, black figure, and short blue with black eyes. Screamed when surprised but not scary. Tried disappeared aliens. I asked them to come back, but they did not.
Oh, and that was Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Chris, hey, I'm glad you weren't scared, and that's the biggest thing is how you feel when they arrive or you see them. If your body will react to how you should feel, and so if it's scary, then you need to get rid of it. If it's not scary and it's okay, like you, Chris, yeah, you can wish for them to come back, but they probably were just passing through and just taking notice of you. It was probably about at least 2 months ago that I met my first two aliens here and where I live on the dog park, and then they finally showed up again because I've been asking for them to show up again, and they showed up again this past Sunday, and we had a long conversation, but they never, ever, ever, ever admitted to being aliens. So I wasn't real sure how to approach that conversation. So I'm not real sure. And I kept going, where are you from? You know, they're going, from here, you know, this kind of answer. So I don't think they were ready to reveal themselves yet. So, yeah, so it goes by your gut feeling, how you feel when they arrive. Now, initially you're going to be startled, but you have to see if you really feel fear or that they're okay.
And lots of people are saying that they're seeing orbs flying around, lots of orb action, and one person said...
Around us?
Yes, one person said...
Well, I've got two here with me. I've got Sally and Matt Kai, which they always show up for my lives and also for my readings. They're always here. In fact, Mary's, when I came in, she goes, there's two of them that came in with you. Who were they? Who are they?
Well, the cats were going crazy and jumping everywhere, and I was like, okay, so what aliens did you bring today? And she's like, oh, just Sally. I said, no, there's at least two in this room. They're just going everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I sit with the client and they ask what it is that they need, usually they're coming because there is energy blockages, physical pain, emotional upsets, things like that. So in those particular instances, the clients will come, I can find where those blockages are, I can sit with their energy, read their energy, and just go wherever we're guided as I connect in with their guides. So sometimes this is to past traumas and different things in this life, and sometimes it's through past lives. So if you'd like to set up a full past life regression, you can definitely do that. You can text or call 843-229-3973 because I did see someone asking for a past life reading. 843-229-3973, or you can book at www.therustigraven.net, and we can do a full past life regression if you want to, or you might even be looking for an Akashic reading. Is kind of what I'm sensing with that also, since we're asking about multiple past lives. But usually when we go through past lives, we're looking at places that need healing still, places where there's been traumatic things happen, where we're having to go back and heal that part of the soul energy. And that kind of that healing moves through the web into all the people that you have been and all the people that you will be. and brings light and high vibrations throughout the entire web, because we are part of the web and the web, because that's just how energy works. We're all interconnected. So as one person heals, that vibrates and overflows to everyone else.
Now, I know y'all have heard me talk about working on the spaceship. I'm a surgeon on the spaceship. I deal mainly with implants, and it's usually removing the negative implants and getting rid of the negative entity of the person. And then I go in and balance their chakras, and I do color therapy on them. I balance their chemistries, their hormones, and their energy after I do all that. And is that a question up there? And so I'm usually in there, and I usually end with a blue light is my cooling light that I finish with. And Mary also works on the spaceship with me. Now I know I go up there physically and I'm there, and I know I'm there, but you're more knowing energy, knowing you're there on the spaceship. Her office is right next to mine, and your office is blue, isn't it? How's your office?
My office is color. How I try to describe this is like color is a vibration, just like sound and matter is vibration. So when I was seeing my room, it was like seeing vibration, but knowing that the vibration equaled the color blue.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting to see my office there. And it almost had a sound to it. The blue had a bit of a sound to it as well that was very calming and reminded me of the ocean to a certain extent. But it is just like me leaving my physical body as its carbon shell and just letting my energy travel to where it goes.
Well, I was on Medium Kim, and we were trying to figure out how I was traveling. And I'm traveling I'm pretty sure as a light being, because she was trying to say I was astral traveling, but I'm not. My body is going to the spaceship. And the reason why I know the difference is because when I'm on the spaceship and I have to check out the other spaceships, the other hospital spaceships, I do astral travel from that spaceship to the other ones. So I know I'm not astral traveling from here to the spaceship. I'm actually physically there. And they are telling me over and over again to quit guessing or what I'm doing. I am doing it. They keep telling me you are doing it. Quit addressing it like Star Wars or whatever, that I am doing this.
Well, you don't have any other frame of reference, though. As a human, your like perspective is, let me compare this to a Star series I've seen.
Yes.
Someone asked about my journey from childhood to now, and that's a good question actually, because a lot of the time people with certain gifts, they're born with those gifts. So it wouldn't surprise me if you've been seeing aliens since you were a kid and just didn't know you were seeing aliens.
Well, I've been connected to the past. Everybody who's passed, I've always known when they're around. So I've always been connected to the other side. It's just everybody discarded what I was doing or seeing.
That's the main thing though. So within my childhood, it started as I was seeing light beings and dark beings, and I see them from both sides. And I just saw them in my home a lot. So I was seeing what you would perceive as angels, and there would be times when I would roll out of my bed at night and be hovering midair because they would catch me and put me back in the bed. There was a couple times where I was seeing lots of dark entities in my home as well, and they would come out of my closet at night and come towards me. And I remember at one point my dad getting up and putting oil on the doors. We came from a Pentecostal family, and he was putting oils on the doors in the shapes of crosses, and but they never believed what I was seeing. They thought that I was dreaming as a young child. And then when I got older, I asked him, so why did you put the oil on the door if you didn't believe what I was saying? And he didn't have any answer for that. He was just like, I don't know. I don't know. It was just freaking me out. Is kind of what it was. And that's really just how it kind of started, was just seeing the different energies that are there, the different beings and the different entities. And I didn't see anything that I perceived as alien-like until I was in my 20s, probably my mid-20s, when I was seeing different orbs and lights in the sky and not really knowing what it was, but kind of discounting it and being like, whatever. And it wasn't until I had actually set up my own healing practice doing Reiki and then was working the medicine wheel, learning shamanism, that one actually came to me. It was a very tall gray, and it came to me when I was working late at night and kind of spoke to me a little bit, but it was mostly just there. Like, it came up behind me and stayed within my peripherals. So I had to sit there and just be like, who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? And they were telling you that they learned they were Andromedon.
Oh, okay.
So,
Andromeda, yeah, they're great beings. Yes, angelic-like.
and so it stood here, and I had to be like, why are you here? It was almost like I couldn't even look directly at it. And I don't remember what it said exactly, but it was basically encouraging me on my path and telling me it was here to help. So now I have lots of power animals and lots of different guides with me, but I specifically have 3 alien guides who sit with me. One Gail saw when we were on the spaceship. One is more of an energy or color that I see or sense that comes to me during certain times, and it actually helps me translate star language. And then there's this tall gray who doesn't really come around a whole lot. He just comes around from time to time, and I shared the story about when I was pregnant. There were a couple of grays that came, but
And they try to touch your belly.
yes, well, one of them did try to touch my belly when I was pregnant, and I think that they were connecting with that particular energy, because my 3rd son is definitely a star being. He's a star child, and they were trying to connect with him. But that was a big no-no for me, because
I had to go in and say, no, you cannot do that.
well, I got up and yelled at it and made it leave, and then she calls the next day, and she's like, you hurt its feelings. I was like, I don't care. It was in my house. I was trying to sleep. You can't touch people when they're sleeping. Like, you need permission to come into my home and touch me. Like, none of my guides physically touch me. So, anyways, but
yes, they don't know boundaries. They don't know privacy. They don't understand any of that. I mean, it's just far from them to be able to understand that. They just, because where they are, they don't have those kind of boundaries. They don't have, I need to have my own space. They don't have that, because most of them live in kind of communities or large communities. So, and it's all together as one and not an individual. So they don't get the privacy.
mm-hmm.
And that's why they'll show up in your bedroom. Of course, that's when you're sleeping and when you're more receptive to seeing them at that time, and you're actually able to see a different dimension, and that's why you can see them. And but they really are always there. It's just you're having the ability at that point in time to see them. So
Yeah, I think that my 3rd son, he usually doesn't really get to sleep good until after 1 a.m. because he'll fall asleep and then wake up again around 11ish,
Mhm.
and then kind of fuss around till a little bit after 1:30 and I think that's kind of his start time when he gets all of his
it's probably because
visitations.
yeah, because as an infant, I was sent up to the Space Force. They started training me as an infant.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be going up there too, being trained.
And then my middle son, his time window for visitations is usually between 2 and 4.
So you have visitations all
So I never get to sleep, guys.
Does anybody have any questions? Anything about aliens or shamanism? This is an opportunity for you to ask questions, and I see some things popping up there.
Someone was asking, one person wants to know what Arcturians look like, and one person was asking about my lineage with the shamanism. And with the shamanism, we studied directly under Alberto Villoldo's line. So it's from Peru, and he studied there and then started his school. And so my teacher's teacher went to Alberto's school, and that's that lineage. You can talk about the Arcturians.
Arcturians, they are blue in general. They're tall. They're like 6 to 8 feet tall. They're slender. They don't have they don't wear any clothes. They don't have any external genitals or anything. And of course, they're beautiful, I think. Arcturians are beautiful, and they make the best guides. You're lucky if you can have an Arcturian as your guide. They are wonderful guides. And I can pull out my book. I don't think I have that much. I haven't studied Arcturians as much, and I don't know why, because I am an Arcturian. and identify it, because when I went to that planet, Arcturus, that was the one that I had the hardest time leaving, And, I knew that's where I was from, and actually, it's the only planet I've gone to that I was crying that I had to leave. And, but it's beautiful. I mean, even their spaceships are beautiful. The spaceships are done in no, actually, I don't have anything. The spaceships are done in kind of blues, greens, purples, and those kind of colors. And
Can I see this? I just want to touch this. Look at this. Guys, just look at it. That is the craziest oracle deck I've ever seen.
I'm gonna see if I can find an Arcturian on here because there's a picture of it. I don't like the pictures of these cards because they make, to me, they make the aliens. Well, look at a Palladian. Palladian looks good. You can show that to them all for the Arcturian. They make a lot of them just look really mean, and so I'm just not. The book is good on here, but I'm not sure. Yeah, they got the Arcturian as green, and
Do you see them as blue?
yeah,
I see them as blue. Yeah.
I see them as blue, and I mean everything in the spaceship is like blue and green.
They wanted to know how you spell their Arcturian guide's name. Starfish.
Hey, Starfish.
They wanted to know how you spell their Arcturian's guide name. Have you done work with them before?
Can you tell me who the guy's name is? I'm not sure about or mine. I mean, mine is descended from the Arcturians. My guide, Makai, she's descended from the Arcturians. So Starfish is that. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, how to pronounce the name. Now, most of the time they'll give you a human name because you can't pronounce their names. And Mary's finger there, girl.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
You said Bodhi or Body?
Oh, I would have to go back on my notes and look at that. I think it was Bodie. I know that's what it is. It's Bodie. Bodhi. I do remember that name. And a lot of times when I do a reading on people, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other because I'm actually channeling it, so I don't retain a lot of it. But I do remember that name. So you can ask me a lot of questions on my readings in the past, and I'm just going to go, well, that was my guide talking through me. I didn't retain that information. I do write it down. I have charts, so I do have it written down. But to actually remember it, a lot of times I can't, but I do remember that name.
By the time you come out of doing any sort of work in the other realms, by the time you come back to your physical senses, it's like it leaves immediately. Once you change that vibration, it's hard to remember
Well, it's
things.
almost like it just comes through you and talking to, like it's not retained.
It's almost kind of channeling through.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and I think that's true with most people who do readings. It's just being channeled through you, and you're the voice for the information, and you're not supposed to retain it. It's information for you, and it's not really information for us, or even for us to really understand it, as much as it is for you to understand it. So another question. Mary's getting her exercise, jumping up and down. She's
Andrea's just letting me know about something that she practices.
Yeah.
And letting me know about that sort of thing.
Oh, okay. What is that? She said she practices.
Core shamanism.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So she's letting us know about that.
Okay. And you practice Peruvian.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It's all one thing. We're just doing energy work.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. We're changing vibrations. We're reaching ascension. We're bringing healing. We're all just hoping that everyone heals and that we're all on the same plane, all working together towards a common goal. And like I said, I'm not attached to the term. Through my work, what I've studied is under Alberto Bialdo's work, which is how he went to Peru and the Amazons and Andes, and he learned from a couple of different shamans there, and with their permission brought it to the West. But what he did then was he stripped it of their culture so that we're not appropriating their culture, and he just took the parts that heal. He took the parts that bring us healing, removing the imprints, rewiring our neural pathways. There's a lot of psychology within it because we are physical, emotional, and spiritual beings. and he brought that here to the West so that the whole world can start learning and changing and shifting. I'm not sure what they're saying. They might just be telling each other hi now.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys talking to each other?
Yeah, probably.
Zeta wants to know how we can
Zeta.
communicate with an ET guide, because you told her she has a Pleiadian guide.
Well, how I started communicating with them was meditating, and so basically getting still is how you can, start communicating with them. Sometimes people getting still means they have to be moving. So you don't have to look at meditation as in, the only way you can do it is how everybody shows you. That you got to be sitting still, laying, or whatever. Some people have to be like knitting, painting, something physical. Some people do it while they're running. So if you're not successful at staying still and trying to meditate, you might try other avenues, because there are different avenues of meditation. And me, I didn't start meditating until a few years ago, but I have a very athletic past, and realizing that all along I've been meditating when I was either biking, running, or swimming, that I go into a meditative state. So when I started meditating, it was super easy for me. And I do think a lot of people need to redefine sometimes what meditation is. You just need to go within, and some people can go within being physical, and some people can go within during art. So just look at your different forms of meditation that suits you, and just don't put yourself in a box.
And you have lots of subtle senses to be able to connect with what's on the other side of the veil. So a lot of people think that to connect with something, it's something you have to physically see. But we all, in the physical realm, we can see, hear, touch, taste, smell. And across the veil, we can see, hear, know, sense, and feel. So sometimes connecting with your guides is a synchronicity. Sometimes connecting with your guides is having a feeling or knowing something. So it's not being attached to what it looks like either is important. And someone else asked why you do so many rescues.
So alien rescues and human rescues.
Body work.
Well, it's just a job that I agreed to do, and when they came to me, and I have a medical past, and so they took my medical past, and I call my little spaceship my little ambulance, because that's what we're doing, is we're going and rescuing, because it's just like an ambulance to me. And I have a medical past, and then when I started doing the rescue missions, I had somebody who was my partner who was an energy worker, and I thought we were going to be doing this for the rest of the time, but apparently it was just for 6 weeks, and she was to train me in energy, because she wouldn't fly. She only did the groundwork, and she practiced energy work, and then I was medical, and I would fly a spaceship. So we were a perfect team. And but then it was just 6 weeks of energy teaching for me, and then she had other things that happened in her life that she couldn't continue, and I did continue on without her. That was super scary in the beginning when I had to start doing the things that she did. Ooh. I was like,
Time to step up.
Oh, I did. I went off orientation now when I had to start doing it. But yeah, I mean, even when I do, we have a whole team on when it comes to going and rescuing somebody. We have on the spaceship, I have somebody who practices soul reading, and he goes and finds the ones that are in trouble, that are sick or dying. And then there's another team that's called the F Troop that goes and does the reconnaissance or whatever, the military kind of thing, looking how we can get in to get them. And then, so that whole plan's done before I even get involved. And so then I take my little ambulance and fly away. And, Moon, my dog who's passed, is my pilot now. So she's the one that comes and gets me, and we go rescue them. And Clarice is my medical assistant, who will show up with whatever I need to help save the being. And it is either human or alien. We don't distinguish between either one. It's whoever needs help, and that we go get. And generally, if it's a human, it's a human hybrid, that they're not wanting to end up in the hospital or something. They really want them to get to the spaceship. So I love doing it. So I have never complained about it. So I get
Someone else was curious about ETs, where they're laid to rest at.
where their energy, and they are not. I have not seen them laid to rest, but that's a great question.
Like they asked if they had cemeteries.
I don't. I've not seen any cemeteries, and I have been on a lot of planets, but I've never seen a cemetery. And I have never asked that question. You know, maybe I will ask that question, but that's a good question. I don't know the answer.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
This Andrea wants to know, how do you see Lightworkers assisting with the transition for learning to work with ETs on Earth, and what can Lightworkers do to prepare for 3D folks' assistance?
Well, the only job that we have is to raise our vibration.
Right.
You don't have to do anything more than that, as long as that's what you're doing and you're looking at the light. And that in general is a collective that rolls onto everybody, and that raises all our vibrations, and for them to be able to come in contact with us, because it takes us raising our vibration, because they're coming down to us to see us, and we have to raise up to see them. So we have to kind of meet in the middle, because they have difficulties staying in our dimension right now. So we have to raise our vibration. But that's the biggest way anybody can help, is to raise their vibration. And I know people who are going through difficult times. Don't think that I'm saying everybody has to raise their vibration right now. If you're going through difficult times, we all go through that, and you struggle with your vibration. But if you can just do a grateful list of things that you're grateful for every day, that immediately raises your vibration. And that's just writing down 3 things you're thankful for, and that will raise your vibration. So if you can just do that a little bit, especially if you're going through tough times, then that will help. That'll help everybody.
And that's all a thought process.
Mhm.
You know, our thoughts directly control our vibrations and our vibratory level, and therefore our thoughts control what blockages we have and what we have to move through, which is why it's important to remove imprints and do healing work and soul retrievals and things like that. Good morning. And someone else asked for more information on the medicine wheel, and the medicine wheel is something that's going to be very different for each culture. Now, with the particular medicine wheel that I teach, that comes from the Peruvian lineage through Alberto Vallaldo, and of course, every teacher teaches it a little bit differently, just because the times change. Everything changes as we go. We start to see more. I think they're all just saying, hey. And each teacher brings their own gift and their own teachings to it as well. So in that particular lineage, what I teach is we spend 3 months in each direction of the medicine wheel. And in the South, where we're really looking at core wounds and core issues and core imprints that have affected our thought processes up until this point. And we work on shedding that part of our past and seeing beauty. Then we spend 3 months in the West, and in the West we're doing a lot with working through death. We work through overcoming physical death, ego death, and death to old versions of ourselves. We work with ancestral healing and things like that. We're letting old versions of ourselves die. In the North, we're going to spend 3 months there, where we're learning soul retrievals and how to begin manifestations. This has a lot to do with quantum physics and just essentially how nothing exists if we're not there to perceive it. And even just by observing something, we're changing it, because everything we think sends out a vibration into the universe around us, which is why the gratefulness list is probably such a big deal with changing vibrations. And then we spend 3 months in the East, where we're doing destiny retrievals and learning the sacred spiral and how to do spirit flight and how to really manifest what we want. And between this whole time, this year-long process, we're working in the lower realms, in the middle realms, and the upper realms, because the term shaman, like I said before, it's just so that you know what a person does. So when I say the word shaman, you're thinking of someone who has 1 foot on one side of the veil and 1 foot in the physical realm, bringing back information as a steward to the earth, as someone who serves humanity to help people heal and raise the vibrations on the planet. Now, in other indigenous cultures, the medicine wheel is going to look completely different. I do have a few Cherokee roots going on, and I think Meg worked a different type of medicine wheel. I'm not sure what culture it was from either, but that's about the child and how you grow and how you mature throughout the life process until death. So every medicine wheel is different. But I do teach students, I do teach a year-long course on the medicine wheel, and then we also do advanced shamanism. So if that's something you guys are interested in, you can go to the website as well. That was www.therusticraven.net.
Say it again.
therusticraven.net. She says I talk too fast.
All that. We're trying to give information to people that talk too fast. But anyway, there's one thing I forgot to tell you, that I have spent a lifetime in Peru, and I have had a lifetime as a shaman also. And but I was a research person when I had a lifetime in Peru. But is that a question?
Yes, someone was saying that they heard from someone who channels the Arcturian Council said that the Palladians and Orions worked together to put a shield around Earth to help us, and they just wanted your opinion and if you've heard anything about that.
Yes, well, they do. All those three do work together, especially. It seems like the Palladians and the Arcturians have their fingers in all our lives, and they are like the good people, and so they've always had our best interests at heart for them. So yes, they have protection around us, and they are protecting us from usually the reptilians and draconians. Even though they are here, they still have got a protection around us, trying to help us.
And then back to, I think it was Mother Earth has been in her own quarantine for thousands of years. I think Chris, the one who said that there were beings in their room at night, that saw the two beings, that wasn't scared, wanted to know if that meant that their vibration was high enough to be able to connect in and see that.
Yes, that's what it was. And you, probably your vibration was up at nighttime, and because you didn't have filters on at that point, and that's why you were able to see them. And that's why a lot of us are able to see them at night. I know that people say the veil's thinner. I think it's us, our vibration's higher.
And what I was saying with that is that medicine wheel, that one turn, each turn is a year long. So no, I have not only studied for a year. It's a lifelong transformative process, but each turn around the wheel lasts for a year. And then after that first turn, you kind of end up sitting in the middle of the medicine wheel, and each day or each week or each month, whatever it is that you're going through, you're kind of stepping into a certain place on the wheel, stepping into the west for a little bit of time and then coming back to the center. We're stepping into the north and coming back to the center. We're always working and we're always transitioning.
Is there a question on the computer?
Deb at the beach is loving this discussion.
Hey Deb, how are you doing?
And Arizona is sending us warm sunshine because it is cold here.
Yeah.
I feel like it's cold.
It is cold. It has been cold, but it's supposed to get up to 60s and 70s tomorrow.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know how to live in the cold. I'm moving to Mount Shasta.
Do ETs struggle with Earth's environment and crash, or does our governments go after them, or both?
One more time.
When ETs come to Earth, they're asking, struggle with Earth's environment. Like, do their ships crash here, or does the government go after them, or both?
Well, both, and it depends on which species. Like Arcturians have trouble. They have a cream that they carry with them for breathing that they have to put all over their body. And so if they spend a lot of time on Earth and they run out of that cream, I do a lot of rescue missions on getting Arcturians because they can't last very long on Earth without their breathing cream. The grays, because mostly they're gray hybrids around here, they struggle not with the environment, but the food that we try to feed them, because they have their own specific food. And those are the two I know most about, because that's where rescue, reptilian, they all have a little bit of struggle with their environment, but each species is different. And even in my office in the spaceship, I have to I have this ability, which is absolutely wonderful, that I can switch my office the way it looks. Right now, it looks like it's a botanical garden when you go in, and it has a stream and birds and everything, and it's geared towards humans and grays. And then I have to switch it over to a more mountainous, dry kind of desert for like dealing with reptilians. And so I have to switch it for each species on what they're comfortable with, which is wonderful. I get to decorate the office all the time for species specific. But it's just like I'm not supposed to say this, but it's like the holodeck in Star Trek, where they just push computer buttons and it just transforms into that area. That's kind of what it's like. But I'm not supposed to be saying anymore about it's like Star Trek, but it is.
Andrea loved your vanilla ice cream story.
Yes. I don't know if you already all heard about my vanilla ice cream.
I never heard about your vanilla ice cream
Oh,
story.
yeah?
No?
Oh my gosh. Oh, the Grays kept bringing me up for celebration of something that I've done, like rescued or saved or whatever. They kept bringing me up and giving me this white mush that tasted like watered down grits or potatoes. It's the nastiest crap you've ever seen. And they kept giving it to me. About the third time, I finally said, "What do you call this?" And they went, "Vanilla ice cream." So they kept serving it to me thinking they were serving me something to celebrate. It was vanilla ice cream, and it was terrible. It was even warm. And so then they flashed to the 1950s, where a Gray had been captured, and he had a good relationship with one of the scientists. And the scientist was making ice cream in the 50s. You know, you cooked it on the stove, and then you put it in a freezer, and you turned it. Well, I don't know what happened to their recipe and how many steps they missed, but it was vanilla ice cream to them, and they just thought I was going to love it. And then, so the next
Bye,
day,
Chris.
so the next day, I went and bought 6 cartons of vanilla ice cream, took it up there, and opened each one of the cartons. Just opened up, and they stood in line, and only got 1 spoonful because they were worried about it mess up their system. So they stood in line, did each one all the way down. So that's my vanilla ice cream. You've been up there. You have had it too.
I did make a lot of snow cream though when we had snow.
Yeah.
I did make a lot of that.
Yeah, you've been in there because that lounge area that we're in is the medical lounge, and there's only 6 on the medical team that are human. Let's see, how many of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 on the medical team that are human, and then there's 1 in engineering and 1 in the research area. And there's 1 on the deck. She's learning, but the medical team has taken over that lounge, and because we're mostly human on the medical team, and the gray hybrids, the grays that are more human-like. So it's a gray human hybrid lounge, and it only can hold like 20 people. It's a tiny little thing that we turned into a lounge because they really don't need breaks and things. And we do.
That sounds like a lawsuit. Aliens don't need breaks. Races, number 1.
Well, one day, one of them of the gray hybrids wanted a club sandwich. Wanted a club sandwich, so I went down and got all the fixings for that, and we sat up there and made club sandwiches. Now they can't eat meat. And so I'm giving them, making the whole thing, and they can't eat meat, but they tasted, they didn't like it. But I did thought about bringing peanut butter, and so I made them peanut butter banana sandwiches, and they loved that. So, and I had to cut them in triangles. They're fascinated about cutting them in triangles. So,
all those shapes, geometric shapes, they love that. I will mention that somebody that you work with on the spaceship has been coming into my sessions from time to time. So my healing sessions are just a mixture of everything that I do authentically as a person with only my gifts. So we're talking about everything I've learned from
Clarice.
I don't know, maybe, but we're talking about everything I've learned from shamanism to the mediumship, Reiki, acupressure, like everything that I do is just in a session. So I'm in these sessions, and from time to time, I'll notice an implant when I'm scanning that pineal gland. And there was one particular day I saw the implant there, and my first thought to myself, like within a second, was, okay, do I need to send this person to Gail? Because that would be the next step, because I do the body work, I do the energy work, you do that part. And I noticed this figure just come out with this long tool and just take it out and start cleansing and sewing. And I was like, okay.
That's my medical assistant. That's Clarice that came.
And it's happened at least twice now. After that, it happened again. But at this point, I know to expect it. So if I see it and it's not ready yet, you know, there's a lot of times where we're working through different layers because, you know, they've had lifetimes upon lifetimes to build up these imprints and traumas. And I can only clear a little bit at a time for integration purposes. And if it's really in there, I know, okay, well, I'm going to have so many more sessions, and then I'll send them to Gail. But every now and then, it's ready right then, like a tooth that's ready to be pulled. And this alien will just come in and just take care of it and cleanse that wound and just sew it up and then just be gone. Yeah, and I'm just like, all right.
She called me one day going, I had this, and immediately Clarice was there going, yeah, it was me. I took care of it for you. It was an easy one. We didn't need to schedule anything for that. It was good.
I mean, she doesn't even have like proper procedure, I don't feel like. She just walks in, takes it out, throws the chip on the floor and stomps on it, and then leaves my room.
Well, she's taking it after me because she got upset the first time I threw it on the floor. And she went on, because she has a little glass that goes in and it incinerates it. Yeah. And so I was mad at how this chip or this implant had been on this person or what they were creating. So I was really mad at it when I took it out. And so I stomped on it on the floor. And they're little. There's nothing really to stomp. And she came running over with a glass going, this is how we take care of it. Clarice keeps me straight all the time. But she's my medical assistant.
Someone wants to know, what's the intention of having an implant? And that's an important question.
It is. There are negative implants and positive implants. So the people who have the negative implants, they really need to be removed because what those implants are doing is keeping that person usually angry, depressed, and sometimes suicidal. And that keeps them generating energy for whoever is siphoning off their energy. They want to keep them down at that 3D level, and they really want them angry and mad and depressed, and they just don't want them to get rid of it and ascend. Now, as soon as I get a hold of it and get rid of that negative entity, that person can take off, just go on up, and they have to immediately raise their vibrations so they're not interested in them. So it takes a lot of work. It takes somebody like Mary to work with them after, but I like it when they work with them before and after. I'm like the surgeon where I go in and get rid of it and get rid of the entity and raise their vibration immediately, and then I like for them to continue with somebody like Mary or somebody who practices shamanism.
Are there areas that have a higher concentration of extraterrestrial activity, and why?
I don't know. I mean, we all hear about the different areas that have more ETs, but we're in South Carolina where it's not known to have ETs. So, and I'm trying to get out of the sun. and so I'm
But it's like a halo. It's beautiful.
So yeah, I think we all do see, well, of course in the Midwest where all those facilities are that capture them, but I'm not so sure about the different areas of sightings. Like, you always hear about Arizona and all, but I see them all the time around here.
Because of ley lines and gravitational vibrations within the earth and things like that.
But I see spaceships here.
Right, all the time. And I actually had someone come in yesterday who I'm friends with. He used to teach yoga here, and he had actually moved to Vegas for a while because he felt such a strong pull with his starseed blood, and he wanted to connect with aliens, and he moved all the way out there thinking he could connect with the aliens there, never saw a single one. And then he moves back here after years and years and years of trying, and now he sees them here all the time. He says he sees them in the trees.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he sees them here all the time, so they're really kind of everywhere at this point. And we also had a question about Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
He did. Let me pull that question back up. He said, let's see here.
He played an alien himself. And what, Mork and Mindy?
Yeah.
trying to see if there's some.
So he played Mork from Orc, and did he have any ET influence lifetimes, or do ETs have? And then do ETs have comedians?
Oh,
They don't seem to me like they have much of a sense of humor.
No, they do. I mean,
Okay.
Sally has a great sense of humor. In fact, they have senses of humor. Fred, who's on the F Troop, has a great sense of humor.
The Greys are very dry.
No, well, he's a gray hybrid, gray human. So
I find that they have a bit of a sense of humor, but it's like almost sarcastic.
Yeah, some of them, but I mean, they have integrated with us so much that they pick up the human qualities. So yes, I have several who have great personalities. Fred's one of my favorites, and he's one of the military kind of guys who goes on the missions, and he's part of the F Troop. And but I mean, the first time I met him, he was sitting there talking about, and he has mottled colored skin, and it doesn't wear any clothes, but he talks about how he can blend in. All three of them on that, they look alike. He can blend in with the surroundings, and they can get the information out of the facilities. And he saw it. Also, bald is in, and he's tapping his head, so I can go bald. I used to have to wear a wig. So, anyway, they have a lot of sense of humor. Yeah, a lot of them do. So, I mean, and then there's the others that they don't, and the ones that are in our lounge are the ones who have the personalities and good sense of humors and things. So they do congregate with us. So, yeah, they do. Some of them.
Do you know anything about Vega?
Vega, yeah. Let's see. I'll pull out my Mystic Martian and see what about Vega. Vegan 72. Let's see. Vegan beings reside on the planet Vega. Okay, also called Alpha Lyra, the brightest star of the northern Lyra constellation. They are, let's see, they are refugees from the Lyran Draco Wars. They're peaceful. They do not participate in any galactic politics or wars and take a neutral stance in all those dramas. They are culturally around 250 years ahead of the Palladians. They stand 6 to 7 feet tall. Vegan beings are a highly self-sufficient and very autonomous civilization. They are spiritually guided by the Andromeda Council. The vegan beings are natural healers and care deeply towards nature and the natural environment. Let's see. Most vegan beings are humanoid, though some hybrid beings have genetic characteristics of nearby ETs. So the vegans are probably like the Lyrans, who have gone to different planets, and there are a lot of different hybrid species on them. So I hope that helped. This is my Mystic Martian, and Juno's the one that told me about these cards, and as I like the information I get out of them, I'm just not agreeing about the pictures that they have on it. Like I just wasn't real, but but the little book in it is great. Because that's not how I see them. Like they look kind of mean looking, and I don't see them that way.
He just looks real wrinkled and serious.
Well, I think like the grays are mean looking in here, and I don't see them like that. Of course, I'm dealing mostly with the gray hybrids. I was just thinking about when I was a child, and I always talk about this. I had a wolf living under my bed that nobody could see but me, and he was always protecting me, and so I grew up thinking I was crazy too, like seeing these things. But he lived under my bed, and I kept going. And my dad would poke his head and watch out for the wolf! Watch out for the wolf!
Just playing with you, like your dad was being sarcastic.
No, I was saying that.
Oh, you were saying
yeah, because he was poking his head. I was scared he would attack him.
Aw.
And my sister, I'd make her go from the bed and jump all the way over just so the wolf wouldn't get her.
I mean, and all the things that I saw in my bedroom, I saw those shadows that would come out of the closet when I was younger, and then there was a wolf that lived in the living room, and he wore a plaid shirt. And there was a leprechaun in the bathroom that lived in the tub, because the tub was right across from the toilet, so I couldn't go in to pee without looking at the leprechaun. So, like little things like that you just get used to seeing when you're young,
Mhm.
and then you start to block them out as a teenager and things like that. And then when you get older, they start to come back again. And so I think I was in my mid to late 20s when I ended up hooking up with another shaman in North Carolina, and me and him did like this whole battle against the dark beings, the ones that had been coming to me since I was a kid. And within a couple of hours, we had like conquered this dark being or banished it that had been bothering me my entire life.
And that's what I do now. I get rid of those beings like that.
But it's interesting how they come back. Like when you're a child, you perceive them as one thing,
Mhm.
but then if you're able to connect back in as an adult, you realize it's something slightly different.
You know, what I was reading earlier about that, the dark beings, sometimes it is your dark side that you're dealing with. That's coming.
It's always your dark
It's
side. It's
coming
your
to
own
you.
vibrations,
Mhm.
you know, pulling things towards you because you have your own wounded spaces.
Ooh, that was like a long question there.
Because you have your own wounded spaces that they're vibrating towards. Let's see what this says. Why did the ETs choose Barney and Betty White, who were abducted in 1961, and they feared the experience tremendously? Why were they able to tell of their experience?
I'm not sure why they were allowed to remember their experience, for one thing, except for they probably were wanting to start. You know, we haven't been having this reveal since then, but the ETs were abducting people at that time. They're not doing that anymore. They're past that. You don't ever hear about abductions anymore. It's more, you know, they realized what was happening. They didn't realize at the time how traumatizing it was, but I think that was, I think it was back in the 50s where they really were wanting to start the reveal then, and I think our government stopped it, as didn't want that to happen yet. So I think that was a beginning of that. Leave it until we're getting close to an hour, so one more question. Does anybody have another question?
Is it possibly an oversight? Like they meant to erase the memory and then...
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think that was an oversight. I think that was on
They did
purpose.
that on purpose.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to be revealed at that time. I think all that was happening in the 50s.
They wanted that attention.
They wanted it, the reveal. That was part of the reveal. These people are talking about it, and yeah, the government shuts it down. You know, they want to keep all that technology to themselves.
Okay, let's see. Zeta said she was a child. She saw this shadow like a witch with a pointy hat. Linda was asking about Orions. Andrea asked Hangar 18 Danny's.
What was that?
She said Hangar 18 Danny's. I don't know.
Okay.
Does the government have an agreement with a certain species that can abduct?
They're not abducting anymore.
That was a good question, I feel like.
Yeah. That was, they were abducting, and I wouldn't put it past the government if they had that kind of deal, but I'm not one that knows for sure, and I haven't been asking those kind of questions because they are actually looking at that as their dark past, and they really want to get past it. They're actually comparing it to slavery for us, that when they were doing the abductions, so they really wanting to move on from that dark past of theirs.
So they're really wanting us to start seeing them in a different light and understand that they're here to help and raise vibrations and help us towards ascension and healing of the planet. So we just keep bringing up their bad past.
Yeah, exactly. And just like slavery, I mean, that's a bad past, and we don't need to forget that. So I don't think we need to forget the abductions, but we do need to realize that is what happened, and they're not doing it anymore. So yeah, that's their dark past. Oh, the Orions. I didn't see anything specific on Orions, but Orions, there are positive and negatives, and the positives, I do have that in my book. Most people who are watching this channel would be the positives, because they do have high vibrations. they're actually pretty wonderful. But I do have, okay, positive Orions. I have this book, and actually this is from Renee. You can see it. Tarot Love Community. She did that for me, that picture from Tarot Love Renee. And so I was trying to use it as my thumbnail on my computer. But as y'all all know, I'm challenged by computers. Mary helps me all the time.
I try. I don't know too much more, I don't think.
Yeah, but that's, I haven't been able to get it as my thumbnail. But, okay, I will get there. Many pages here. Okay, positive Orions. They're activists for peace. They're environmental activists. They're good entrepreneurs. They're really not interested in money. They care about the planet, animals, humanity, and environment, and they inspire us to lead towards fourth density. They're good. They have good minds like Arcturians. They're analytical, intelligent, and they do like strategies, plots, and plans. And they can seem cold and emotional. So they're not very open-minded, and they are critical of others. And they are the hardest on themselves. They're their worst enemy. And they love to learn and seek knowledge, and they're smart. Sometimes they do have traits of Asperger's, and they are empaths. It's the positive Orions, and usually they have big blue eyes. So do you have big blue eyes? Anyway, that is the positive Orions, and there are negative ones also, but we're not going to talk about the negative ones because people that are watching this channel are going to tend to be the positive. So was there any other question?
There were a few, probably.
Well, we're coming up to an hour. I'm going to be on Heart and Soul Connected, and y'all can bring some questions there. This will be Thursday at 3 o'clock, and that'll be 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's with Allie. And so you can bring your questions if you missed it. We didn't.
Yeah, they're asking about Hanger 18, medical procedures that are unknown.
Wow. Some good
ETs
questions.
worldwide, how to contact humans, reptilians, and how do you know if you're a hybrid?
I'm so sorry.
And that, well, you know,
I can't
it is the last question. So do you want to address reptilians? Because if they knock us out, then it won't matter because it's the end of the show.
Last time I was talking about reptilians, I was knocked out, and then I came back on and started talking about it again, and then there was no sound. So I know I can't talk but so much about reptilians, but there are positive reptilians and negative reptilians, and I do, whenever I'm getting rid of negative entity, I would say probably 75% of the time it is a Draco or a reptilian that I'm getting rid of. But I've met some wonderful reptilians. I tell you, they are just wonderful. I mean, my first one that I met with Carl, I love him to death, and he is a reptilian, and I have rescued a lot of reptilians. So there are some good and there are some negative. So if somebody tells you you're a reptilian, don't panic, because there are some good ones, and if you're here, your vibration is up, so you're not one of the negative ones. So don't panic. I know everybody panics when they find out they have a reptilian heritage, and also it is the reptilians that taught us, or our lineage is from the fight or flight. So they did give us that, and that is what we survived on. So we have all have a little bit of reptilian, and have to thank the reptilians for that, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have survived everything. So anyway, we've got to go. Mary's got to get back to work. My name is Dr. Gail, and this is Mary, and we're at the Rustic Raven in Florence, South Carolina, and the number slowly.
843-229-3973. You can text that number or you can call it if you're looking for a little bit of some deeper healing work to help raise those vibrations. And we're always around, so you can text, call, go on the website, therusticraven.net, and we'll get up with you. And Gail does a lot of work here too, so you can also call that number, text that number, or go to that website if you want to book with Gail and get your reading in or get some implants removed, anything like that.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later. Goodbye. You can see my whole body now.